They never knocked. But somehow they were already inside, surrounded by bare trees and fields of brittle grass that rustled constantly even when there was no wind. I had found it cheap on a foreclosure list and jumped at the opportunity to finally live away from the noise of the city. It needed work, sure, but I welcomed the solitude. No distant cars, no neighbors. No hum of traffic, just the occasional creak of the old wood and the low groans of the structure settling. I chalked it all up to age. The place had personality. I liked that. I moved into the old farmhouse in late October, right before the first frost of the season. It sat alone on a quiet stretch of road. The first few nights were quiet, almost too quiet. But on the fifth night, something felt different. Still, I barely slept that night. Temperature in the house had dropped so drastically that I could see my breath. I checked the thermostat. It was working fine, set to 68. I went downstairs to the basement to check the furnace as I opened the basement door. I stood there for a moment, straining to make out words, but they slipped away the moment I focused on them. Was hit by a wave of cold so intense I thought the air itself was trying to push me back. Basement was empty boxes, old shelves, cobwebs, but no people. No source for the whispers. They trailed off toward the stairs, then vanished halfway up, and pressed into the glass from the inside, smeared with something dark. It hadn't been there before. I checked my shoes, checked outside, even cleaned them just to be sure they weren't mine. It started with footsteps. I tried to calm him, but he wouldn't take his eyes off the stairs. Then he barked sharp loud. Terrified, Dan backed into the kitchen. I sat in the living room with my dog, Jasper, a big Labrador who usually slept through anything. But not that night. Around 2:00 a.m., I woke up to the distinct sound of someone walking down the upstairs hallway, slow, deliberate steps across the wooden floorboards. I held my breath and listened. My bedroom was at the end of the hall, and I hadn't closed the door. From my bed, I could see straight out into the corridor. I stood up, every hair on my body standing with me, and looked toward the stairs, lit only by the faint glow of the moon through the front window, just standing there watching. I couldn't see faces, only outlines in the faint light. I didn't move, neither did they. The laughter stopped, nothing. Who didn't believe a word of it but agreed to help me clear the place out. I was done. I was ready to walk away, take the loss. But the steps kept coming, tap, 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 growing louder, closer. I left the keys on the porch and drove away. The house is still there. I see it listed online sometimes. The photos are always the same: empty rooms, clean floors, the old staircase. I sat up quickly, grabbed the flashlight I kept by my nightstand, and turned it on. The hallway was empty. I walked through the house, room to room, checking every door and window. Everything was locked. Every room was empty. The next morning, I found muddy footprints near the front door, bare feet, small, like a child's. I didn't know what to do, so I told myself it was old dirt. Maybe something tracked in when I moved my boxes, but something about those prints, they were fresh and quiet. Nothing seemed out of place until we reached the basement door, still wet. I tried to shake it off. A few nights later, I woke up freezing. There were voices down there. Faint whispering, like a group of people muttering just out of earshot. The lights wouldn't turn on. Went down anyway, holding my flashlight like a weapon. The air was thick, heavy. Then I saw the handprint on the inside of the basement window, dot small, just like the footprints. That night, I didn't sleep. The following evening, I left all the lights on and every door closed. Around midnight, he started growling low and constant while staring at the staircase. His ears were flat, body tense, and that's when I heard it. Children laughing. Not playful or innocent, but something twisted, like they were mocking me. It echoed down the stairwell. There were silhouettes at the top. 2 of them. Small, still. Jasper whined from the kitchen, tail between his legs. Then, in complete silence, the 2 figures turned and walked away, vanishing into the hallway. I packed a bag that night and left. I stayed with a friend for a week and didn't return until I could bring someone with me, my cousin. When we got there, the house was cold again. It was wide open. And written on the inside in that same dark smear were the words, "We let you stay." Below it, 3 small handprints. I didn't go inside again, but if you look closely at the last picture, the one of the upstairs hallway, you can see 2 small shapes standing in the shadows.